Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to Chris Lee Travel Channels. In these episodes, I will bring you further north of the Hunza Valley, and it will be another very exciting episode. And in this episode, I've added quite a number of video clips that I have taken, during the trips. I hope that you will stay tuned until the end of this episode to enjoy all those beautiful video clips, and some of them are taken using a drone. Let's begin our today's travel logs, and for the start, as usual, if you are the first time with me, this is a map of Pakistan. And the region that we are covering will be all to the very, very up north in this region. You can see that we are almost, in fact, covering the border regions that fronting China. As usual, the region that we are covering fall under the Gilgit-Baltistan province, and we are cover the uppermost district known as the Hunza Naga districts. So here is actually the map dividing the Hunza Valley into Lower Hunza, Middle Hunza, and Upper Hunza. And today we will cover the last section of my travelogues in this Hunza Valley, that is the Upper Hunza. And as we have actually covered quite a fair bit, and today we still will cover the journey from Gilgit all the way to Khunjerab Pass, which is actually the border pass between China and Pakistan. And this is just to show the travel routes from the Gilgit all the way to the border pass. So this is just a close-up of the area that we're covering. And for your info, as in the last episode, I have missed out a section of valley that is very interesting, and I managed to capture some of the images. So I reshare with you. And this village, this valley is known as the Hopper Valley. So these are some of the scenes taken during the journey all the way to the Hopper Valley, where we are confronting the Hopper glaciers. Autumn season indeed is one of the most interesting and season to travel, particularly when you see most of the trees start turning into yellowish golden color. So these are the images taken along the journey. Although it's not a very long journey, but it does give us a very fascinating and magnificent view of the countryside. And now we are continuing our road trip from the Karimabad all the way to Khunjerab Pass, which traveling along the river, the Hunza River. So you can see that there's a totally different scene as compared with the Hopper Valley. Here in this journey, it look more deserted. Not only less vegetation are found along the way, but at the same time is also we are moving to a high altitude regions of Pakistan. Autumns and the winter are the dry season in this Hunza Valley. So we were expecting to see less waters in any of the river in these regions. And when we passing by near to the Pasu Glacier, the journey where you were able to face-to-face viewing from the Karakoram Highway of the Pasu Glaciers. This is also a region that have a fantastic view and a breathtaking view as shown in this image. On one hand, we found that there is certain areas, certain regions are more deserted, as can be seen in this image. At the same time, at the valley regions that have more fertile land, you find that there are plenty of vegetations. And that's where all the human settlement are found along this Hunza River. And as you drive along, you will be able to see all these constructed suspended bridges, which is quite in good condition. I believe it was constructed not long ago from the look at it. So quite a long stretch of the journey along this Karakoram Highway. In fact, this stretch of the road is still fall under Karakoram Highway. And then we stopped by to have a lunch, and this scene caught my surprise. I found 3 flags, right? And one of the flags is Malaysian flag, and one is Pakistan, and the other one is a China flag. I would say, what on earth we have a Malaysian flag here? We could only prove one thing, that there's a lot of Malaysians are traveling to this part of the world. Along the journey, then they found one abundance brake factories, and the old cranes have been abandoned. You can see it left on the roadside and no longer in operations. And along the way, we are coming to a very popular tourist spot, and that's where the lakes that form due to the landslide, and the name of this lake is known as Attabad Lakes. And this is the first encounter of Attabad Lakes, and I name it as the viewpoint number 1. So now let's look at these Attabad Lakes and have some understanding how this Attabad Lake came about. This lake was formed not long ago, and the location of these Attabad Lakes are basically after leaving from the Karimabad on the way to Galmits. In between these 2 towns, this is where the location of the Attabad Lakes is located. And you will probably see a lot of YouTube channel, and you always see people taking picture along this stretch of Karakoram Highway, where there's big sign posting showing the long life Pak stand for Pakistan, China friendship. And in this stretch of Karakoram Highway, you'll be passing through many tunnels. And let's look at these video clips of Attabad Lakes and at this tunnel region. This is a tunnel that we're referring to. And here you can see that the you have this standard signpost, and this is the Attabad Lakes. I'll tell you more about this Attabad Lakes later on. The interesting part about this lake is that you can see the river, the water colors of the lakes are in beautiful deep blue in colors. And let's see how to come about of this Attabad Lakes. Now, Attabad Lake is a lake located, as I mentioned earlier, in the Gorja region, or also referred as Upper Hunza regions of the Hunza Valley. And it was created in January 2010, which is about 12 years from now, as a result of a major landslide, right, in Attabad. The location of this landslide is named Attabad, and therefore they're given the name Attabad Lakes. The lake has become one of the biggest tourist attractions in this Gilgit-Baltistan because of its unique blue color. You can see the blue waters on the lake as shown in the image, and the dramatic mountain backdrops surrounding the lakes. Now, the lake offering activities like boating, jet skiing, fishing, and other recreational activity. During the winter, the lake is frozen, whereas in summer, its bluish green lake's color gives the eye-catching view of the travelers. And this is the reason why it have attracted so many tourists. And we'll move on to see more images. So this is actually the lower section of the Attabad Lakes. It's also our first encounter. Later on, I'll bring you to the next section of the Attabad Lakes. Now, this landslide have caused a 17 km length of the completed Karakoram Highways been submerged in water, and the landslide blocked the river, Hunza River, and gradually forming a lakes. And the rising waters of the Hunza River caused by the landslide have submerged all these computer routes, and as a result of this is the reason why that there's no alternative but to construct a tunnel to replace the submerged Karakoram Highway. So you can see that the scenery here is very dramatic. On one hand, you have a blue color water lakes surrounded by all these dramatic mountains, right, all around. And here we are going to show you the second video clips of these Attabad Lakes, and I name it as the viewpoint 2. And here it's quite a distance away from the routes, and therefore you need to drive in to an open car park. Then from the open car park, we then walk down to the lakes, the shore, the bank of the lakes, right? And so let's look at this another video clips. Sorry, it doesn't show up to video clip, never mind. And then look at this image here. You can see that in this image, this is actually on the right hand side of the Attabad Lakes, and almost to the upper section of the Attabad Lakes, and you can see that have been a lot of the jetty point is where all these boats are anchored and to receive the tourists, and during the peak season here is packed with tourists. And then we will then have a boat cruise of these Attabad Lakes. Now, before we move on to more images, I would like to also highlight to you that on this Attabad Lakes background, as I said earlier, the lake was formed when the Attabad village in Hunza Valley has a landslide, which about 14 km 9 miles upstream east of Karimabad. That means that it's not far from Karimabad. And that was occurred, as I mentioned earlier, in the year 2010. More precisely, it's on the date 4th of January. Right. Now, the landslide killed 20 people and blocked the flow of the Hunza River for 5 months. Right. And the lake's flooding displaced 6,000 people from the upstream villages, stranded, right, the transportation, and also cut off the transportation, the routes between the upper Hunza all the way down. And therefore, further 25,000 people were stranded at the upstream, and the rising water level of the Hunza River have caused over 19 km, sorry, not 70 km, 19 km or approximately 12 miles of Karakoram Highway been submerged and abandoned as a result of these submersions. The lake reaches about of length of 21 km and a bit over 10 meter in depth, right, by the first weeks, and then by the first week of June 2010. So then it's when they start flowing over, all right, the landslide, landslide regions, and the landslide have causing this to form a dam-like structure, and then this uniform lake then completely submerging the lowest area and partly flooding the gilmits, unfortunately. And therefore, you can see that you'll be passing by, you can see still some of the remain of the damaged dwellings and settlements along the river bank, as well as some of the bridges was collapsed as a result of this flooding waters. So these are some of the things you still can find along the Karakoram Highway. Now, due to the lake size about 21 km in length, and the surrounding topography is very unique, right? So one cannot view the lake completely, right? And so you have to stand from one point of the lake to the other point of the lake itself is not possible because of the length of 21 km. As a result of that, you can see that just now we have a viewpoint number one. It's most at the start of the lakes where the dam, where the landslide cut off the Hunza River, forming the dam. And now we are coming to the second half of the lakes, which is a much more big cover, wider area due to a rising Hunza River. And now you can see that there is a lakes, a wider side section of the lakes in this Hunza River, and therefore it's given the name Attabad Lakes because it's located at the Attabad village. So in this image, you see that at the far end there is actually the Karakoram Highway, the built across having the bridge linking two tunnel on the left and on the right. You can see that in this part of the rebuilt new Karakoram Highway, replacing the submerged Karakoram Highway, is basically a tunnel through, then linked with bridges, then tunnel again and bridges and so on, because the topography here is very challenging, and as a result of this the landslide have occurred, causing the rising Hunza River, right? So these are some of the new settlements you found along the lake side, and you will still notice quite a lot of construction was taking place, and I believe that they are constructing more hotels to accommodate the influx of the tourists. Most of the side, lake side are actually edged to the cliff of mountains, except at the viewpoint 2 is where we disembark from our vehicle. That is have a little bit of flat lands. We were there about in the afternoon. I think about 3 to 4 p.m. in the afternoons. And this is a boat we took. It can able to take up about 12 passengers, and therefore our group is quite a big size, so we engaged two boats to ferry us in these Attabad Lakes. So I'm not sure whether I can, yes, okay, now let's look at the video of this second section of the Attabad Lakes. It's quite windy when we were there. You can see that the tourists is not many at the time when we arrived there. So a lot of parking boats. This is a boat ride. You can see from here how important is Karakoram Highway. In this region, with this type of topography, is almost inaccessible. It's fortunate that the Karakoram Highway has managed to provide a linkage for the region at the north all the way to the south. And also because of that, it helped to promote tourism to this region. So this is the boat ride, and let's move on to the next slide. And then we travel along this journey. We also will come across some suspension bridge, and some of them are built to cater for tourists. Just for example, this is called Rainbow Suspension Bridge. The reason why it's given the Rainbow Suspension Bridge because the people, the local, they built this bridge over a short span over the Hunza River, but it's a very narrow, short span of suspension bridge, and they color with multicolor. They color with rainbow color, and therefore given the name the Rainbow Suspension Bridge. So indeed, this colorful painted multicolor suspension bridge, the built across the Hunza River, this is for in the Pasu Goja regions. Right? Sorry, it's not Hunza, it's Hunza River. And the bridge was built very recently in the year 2021, just about 2 years ago. During our visit, it's just about years ago, mainly to cater for the tourists. Right? Unlike the Hussaini suspension bridge, which I'm going to share with you later on, this bridge is much shorter, and the condition of the bridge is very good. You can see it's newly constructed, it's very safe, and the spacing of the plank is very close and easy to walk with. Right? So, and you will compare this later on with the Hussaini suspension bridge, then you were able to see the difference. So we have our first encounter, and probably using this as a training ground. If you can walk past this suspension bridge, will mean that you probably can try the Hussaini suspension bridge. So now we come to this Hussaini suspension bridge, and in this suspension bridge, I've been regarded as the most dangerous suspension bridge in the world. I'm not sure it's true or not, but this is what people have named it and say that it's the most dangerous one. Anyway, in this travelogues, I will share with you photography, a drone photography, video clips of flying a drone across this part of the river. And it's just that because I'm operating the drone, so not much picture was taken, and therefore I will then start off with the whole session, mainly using the video clips to exhibit the beauty of these regions. Right. As usual, you can see the Hussaini Suspension Bridge is also located along the Karakoram Highway at the village of the name Hussaini, and that's how they get the name Hussaini Suspension Bridge. So the exact location of this bridge, it can be seen in this map again. You can see it's between the town Gilmit as well as the Pasu, the town, small little town or village Pasu, is somewhere midway between that and right across this Indus River. So the bridge is still need a distance to walk from the Karakoram Highway because you have to walk through the small little countryside lanes, and vehicle is not allowed to go in. And this is where the starting point of the suspension bridge. And when we arrived there, it's quite late in the evening, and you can see from the image, it's almost at 5 p.m. and sun is almost set, right? So you can see it's quite dim in color. And of course, we do not give up our opportunity to try to cross this Hussaini Suspension Bridge, which claimed to be one of the most dangerous bridges in the world. So let's move on with the video, and at the same time I'll give you some explanation of this Hussaini Suspension Bridge. Now, Hussaini Suspension Bridge is known as the most dangerous bridge in the world. The Hussaini Suspension Bridge is the only one of many precarious rope bridge in northern Pakistan. The Hussaini Suspension Bridge spans across the Hunza River and is being regarded as one of the world's longest suspension bridge, about 980 meters in length. It's a must-see travel destination in Pakistan, and this suspension bridge is also regarded as one of the oldest suspension bridges in the Hunza region. It is learned that the currently possibly the second longest pedestrian suspension bridge in the world after Canada. So you can see some of two men are trying to cross this suspension bridge, and you can see the span. The plank of this suspended bridge was not fixed at the regular fixed interval, but vary interval. So you have to mind your step, and the gap is quite big apart, you know. And there's not much rope forming the guideline on both sides, you know. So you can see that if not careful, you can just fall off from the side into the river. And this bridge that you're looking at is been rebuilt, and is considered as a current bridge, right? That was built in 1994, still about near to 20 years ago, and so 20 plus year, about 20 plus year, and has been well engineered with hanging ropes on both ends after a previous suspension bridge washed away during a flood. Now, the fact is that this region is known for its wind, which explains why the first bridge was built of thin ropes, and plank was not able to withstand and hence destroyed entirely. However, next to the current bridge, some remaining component may be seen, which only added to the thrill for the tourists, right? And since the bridge was built and rebuilt, it has been increasingly popular over time, domestic as well as internationally. Now you can see I'm flying my drone over the Hunza River toward the northern end Alright, moving northward. Now the current Hussaini suspension bridge is still built with the simplest material, the rope and plank. Some of the plank have begun to disintegrate, and there has been significant and irregular gaps between the plank for many years. Right? And thus getting across the Hunza River while the suspension bridge is increasingly incredibly hazardous and due to large and irregular gaps between the planks in the bridge and also on the unrelenting wind that never stopped blowing. Right? That means that if you encounter a strong wind, you expect some swaying of this suspension bridge. So here you are able to see the mountain peaks. At the far end is Topop Dan mountain peaks, also known as a Pasu Cone or Pasu Cathedral. That is how they name it, right? Which is 6,106 meter high. So you can see that my drone is moving slowly and over this Hunza River, and you find there's not many water, and you can see most of the riverbed was exposed. This is because as I say, we are traveling during the dry season, and during the wet season in the month of May, the melting of the snow at all the glacier. As you recall that we have Pasu Glacier, we have quite a number of glaciers are located in this region, and during the summer, this glacier will melt, or snow on the glacier will start to melt, the ice on, and that is give rise to a lot of snow water, ice waters, right, flow into this river, and hence during the summertime, this river will be completely covered underwaters, but not in the dry season, as can be seen in these video clips. The entire region is quite inhabited. You can see that there's not much settlements, human settlements, and also you can see the edge of the river is quite stiff. And here I wanted to highlight to you that the if you want to have a nice picture to be taken, advisable to come in during the early morning, not early morning, but at least come around about 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning, where have a good sunlight, right? Because this valley or this Hunza rivers actually is at the bottom of a valley and with the high mountain on both sides. So the sun, early morning sun are not able to shine through to these regions only until about 10 a.m. in the morning. Then you start to see sun start shining into this section. So images taken from 10 a.m. onward will be much better. And likewise, you have to come before 4 p.m. because likewise during the sunset, by 4 p.m. the sun is quite near the horizon, again was blocked by the high mountains on both sides of this river. So our time is not the right time because we came late, and now you can see I'm flying back my drones back to this Hussaini village, and I hope that you can able to spot this suspension bridge in these video clips. It's just well ahead of you. Now you can see some fine thin lines, suspended line that span across the river. Can you see it? Right. Now you can see this is the suspension bridge. Now you can see clearly now. Right. It's spanning across this Hunza River. And now you have a better view again of this suspension bridge. The Hussaini village is on your right now. And here I fly low and then fly across again this Hussaini suspension bridge. So now we have covered quite a fair bit of this. Now we go to next part of our journey. After crossing this Hussaini suspension bridge, we go on to this Khunjerab Pass. But before we can able to reach Khunjerab Pass, we had to pass through the Khunjerab National Park, right? And if you look at this Khunjerab National Park, I will show you the map again. You can see here the Khunjerab Pass is almost at the end of this Karakoram Highway, and is where he linked to the Karakoram Highway in the China sections, right? And we have to pass through the checkpoint before we can able to reach Khunjerab Pass. And after the checkpoint, the region between the checkpoint and the Khunjerab Pass is this region are classified as Khunjerab National Park. So you can see checkpoint now on this map, and you can see we had to go through all the way to the other end, right? So it's again a very scenic trail. I mean, it's this section of the Karakoram Highway. It offers you the opportunity to experience at least 3 seasons in a day, right? Now, why I say so, because if you travel during the summertime, then you will see the greenery of the vegetation around. Then as you're passing by further up, you then come across scene like what you see now, autumn scene. But when you reach the Khunjerab Pass area, you see snow cover everywhere. It's as if you are entering into a winter season. So you at least, if you travel on this part of the routes, you are going to encounter 3 seasons in one journey. Now, Khunjerab Pass, before that, then let's see some of the along the road scenery. You can see here the altitude have gone much higher, 3,000 meters and above. And of course the vegetation also start to change. Now in this image, you will surprise what I'm going to share with you. Do you notice some of the animals? Can you spot animals in this picture? Can you see that? Can you see better now? These are the ibex. It is a protected animal species, and it was roaming around. And don't underestimate the distance of this animal from us. It's easily more than a kilometer away, far from in the mountain slope. And I have to use telezoom lens and zoom in, and then again further crop my image in order to give you the view of this ibex on this hill slope. We were fortunate to be able to spot them from far. That's along the Karakoram Highway. Of course, only when you have a telezoom lens or you bring along binoculars, that only able to spot these animals at this far distance away. So the journey continue, and you can see this is a scene, and he start going toward a winter zone, and you can start spot snow-capped mountain peaks along the way. As expected, the weather now, the climate here is chilling cold, and I expect to bring visitors are reminded to put on their warm clothing coming to this region, even during the summertime, because the altitude of this region are moving towards 4,000 meters and above. So a bit of this Khunjerab Pass, as you see some of this image. Now, Khunjerab Pass is located at the border between China and Pakistan, and at an altitude of 4,693 meters above sea level. And it is actually considered the ending part of the Karakoram Highway for the Pakistan sections, and the beginning of the Karakoram Highway of the China section. So, Khunjerab Pass is the highest paved international borders crossing the world, and the highest point in the Karakoram Highway. Now, the roadways that you cross across the pass was only completed in the year 1982, which is about 40 years ago, and has superseded the unpaved Mintaka and Klik passes as a primary passage across the Karakoram range. Before that, actually, the people were using these two passes to cross over between these two countries. So the choice of Khunjerab Pass for Karakoram Highway was decided in the year 1966, right? And China, citing the fact that Mintaka would be more susceptible to airstrike, recommended the steeper Khunjerab Pass instead, which I think it had to do with the unfriendly between the countries in this region, particularly between the Pakistan and India, as well as China and India. And this could be a reason why they consider to have a Khunjerab Pass moving far away from the border to India. So let's see some of the image further of this Khunjerab Pass as we move on with this surrounding scenery. As you move close to Khunjerab Pass, then these are the scene. You are almost seeing snow everywhere surrounding you on both sides of the highway, because at this point you already enter into an altitude of 4,000 meters and above. The entire region is classified as Khunjerab National Park, right? It's a protected regions. So again, you are fortunate enough, you can also spot animals everywhere, here and there, right? As can be seen in this image. This is a yak, but it's not it's a wild yak. Huh? We are getting close. Khunjerab Pass is just between the distance, between view soon, and here is the scene around these regions. It's almost surrounded. Land are now covered under the snow. During our visit, because of COVID and the border was closed, and we are not allowed to even get near to the pass. We are asked to stop about from enter to even come close, about half a km away from the pass. And you can see a lot of trailer container was just leave it there due to the closure of the pass itself for a long period of time. I believe that the closure was actually more than 2 years, ever since early, I think late 1990, 2019, and late 2019 onwards, this area had been closed. So you can find quite a lot of security fence, border fence across this region, because what you see on the far end is a China border. So this is a view of the Khunjerab Pass, and I can see that is at the uppermost point now. So we can't move too close. We can only go until the big blue signboard there, and we have to stop there. And from there is still a distance away from the actual border pass building. At the far background is actually the China borders. And this is an image abstracted from internet to give you a closer view of this the pass, right? The border pass, border gates between Pakistan and China. So that will cover my today episode of the journey from the Karimabad along the Karakoram Highway all the way northwards until the borders between the China and borders. And we have actually come across two suspension bridge. One is a tourist suspension bridge. One is the so-called the most dangerous suspension bridge in the world. Right? And also we come across Attabad Lakes that formed by landslide and have actually causing many victims, as well as stranded many villages. And this was just happened about 2010, which is basically about 12 years ago. So I hope that this travelogue will enlighten you. And I still have one more episode of my travelogue to northern Pakistan, but it will not cover the Hunza Valley, but will be moving to another valley. And this valley is very seldom visited by visitors because of it's quite away from the Hunza Valley. But anyway, I will let you know that travelogues in the coming weeks. I'm sure that you will again be enlightened by the beautiful scenery, as well as some video clips that I'm going to add on into my travelogue to share with you next week. Right? So until we meet each other again, we will see each other, and then let's hope that all of you are well and fine, and let's see you again next coming episode. And bye.